Hey guys, welcome to Sweet Home Duo. I'm Denise.
And I'm Jess, and today we're going to be talking all about water kefir, which is a tangy, fizzy drink full of probiotics and nutrients. Has amazing health benefits as well as being a really fun hobby. It's inexpensive also compared to the fermented drinks you can find at the store like kombucha or kefir. This is an example of what we're going to be showing you today.
Yes, we really love it at our house too. It is delicious. And we hope that you will subscribe and tune in next week as we walk you through the second ferment process and give you some helpful tips and tricks as well. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Okay, now I'm going to show you all of the supplies that you will need to make water kefir at home. Of course, the first thing you'll need are the water kefir grains. And you can either purchase these online or you can ask a friend who already has some water kefir to share with you, because after you have grown these for a while, they will multiply and you'll be able to give them away. If you do purchase them online, they will come with instructions. They're usually dehydrated, and so you'll have to rehydrate them to start the process. So you just follow the instructions there. The other thing you'll need is a jar. This is a very large jar because originally I had more grains than this. But anyway, you'll need a jar. You'll need some cheesecloth and a rubber band. The cheesecloth basically just keeps out any kind of insect from the top of the jar, and while it's fermenting. You'll need a measuring cup because you will need 3 cups of cold water along with a half a cup of hot water, and I'm going to show you this process in just a minute. Let's see the other supplies you'll need. You'll need 1/4 of a cup of sugar. Okay, you're also going to need a funnel to pour your ingredients into your bottle, and if you'll notice, these bottles are airtight. They're actually Grolsch bottles, and you'll need these for the second ferment if you choose to do so. Some people like to drink the water kefir right after the first ferment, but if you let them sit in these bottles for a second ferment, and I'll explain to you what that means in just a minute, it becomes very fizzy, and it's just a really great part of the process. And the other item you'll need is this large container. Just any large container will do, because you're going to pour off the liquid into this container. That is all you need for the first ferment. And then if you choose to do a second ferment, what we have here are the ingredients that you'll need. So this is where the fun begins. So during the second ferment, you get to choose what your water kefir is going to taste like. So what I have discovered is that using fresh juice is really ideal. It tastes better, it ferments better, and it's very, very fizzy when you use fresh juice. So I'm going to use some fresh squeezed juice today. That's a grapefruit. But alternatively, you could also just use juice out of a bottle. It doesn't seem to get as fizzy as it would if you were using real juice, but it's a really great alternative if you're just pressed for time, or maybe that's just the way, if you like a certain taste of a certain juice, it's great too. There are so many recipes you can find for water kefir. I've tried a lot of them, probably at least 10 of them, and I really did like them all. Grapefruit's by far my favorite, so that's what I'm going to be making today. You can also just put vanilla extract, a little bit of that, like half a teaspoon, into your bottle, and it would taste almost like cream soda. I like that a lot. One of my other favorites is lavender kefir. Lavender kefir has just a really mild taste to it, and the kefir itself loves dried leaves and dried fruit, and so when you put these dried lavender flowers in there, it just eats it up. It just comes alive. And so you'll find that also certain juices and certain additives that you put in your kefir for the second ferment make it behave a little bit different. And right here are some examples. So this is apple kefir. This is the second ferment that I've had in my refrigerator. And this was made with this apple juice right here. And as you can see, it's just, plain. You don't see any of the little fragments of the fruit like you do from the grapefruit. And whenever you open your bottle, sometimes you'll hear a little bit of pressure that comes off of it. And you'll find that there's a lot more pressure that comes off when you use real fruit juice. So anyway, that's a little bit about the second ferment. Of course, you'll need something to juice your fruit with if you decide to do that. Okay, so we are still in the first ferment process right now, and these grains have sat for approximately 48 hours, so they're ready to be poured off, and we're ready to start the second ferment process. You can do this all at one time, which is really great. So you either need a plastic strainer, or if you don't have a plastic strainer, you can actually just use the cheesecloth like this and just strain it out. And you'll notice that the grains have been left behind. And what you want to do is separate those grains. So I'm going to separate those into a little cup. Because we're going to reuse these, we're going to start the process all over. And I'm going to show you what these grains look like. They're really interesting. Sometimes they're hard to get out. Okay, so these little grains are basically like little colonies of bacteria and yeast, and they live together and they're alive. So when they're in an environment that they like, they thrive. And so that's why you want to put the sugar water in there. That helps them to ferment. Okay, so now that we have our liquid poured off and our grains in a separate cup, we're going to make a new solution. We're going to start this all over again. And like I said, this can be done over and over again. So into your large jar, you're going to pour the 1/4 cup of sugar, and I usually use organic raw cane sugar. You can experiment with different types of sugar. It likes really just organic raw sugar, but I've heard of different people using like brown sugar or turbinado sugar. You just want to stay away from honey, because apparently the honey, it doesn't really work well with the kefir. So what you do is you pour off, you pour your sugar into your container, then you add 1/2 cup of really hot water, and you just want to dissolve that. Okay, so we've added our water, 1/2 cup of water, and basically you can just mix it right here in the jar. Just kind of stir it up and it will dissolve eventually. It doesn't even take that long. What this does is it dissolves the sugar. To this, you're going to add 3 cups of cold water, and it will basically be lukewarm, which is the temperature that the water kefir likes. So we want to keep them happy. So we want to keep them basically at room temperature. You're just going to set this in a place in your kitchen. Once you have the kefir made, you're going to place it in your kitchen out of direct sunlight at room temperature at around 65 to 75 degrees. So to this mixture, we're going to add our 3 cups of cold water. And then your grains. You want to get them all in there. There we go. And then we cover them up again with the cheesecloth. So they are ready now to go back to work. So the fermentation process starts all over again. Okay, so your grains will be happy in here for approximately 24 to 48 hours. So what I do is I just make a mark, or I make a notation on here as to when I need to have them out by. It depends on your temperature and your environment. Some people notice after 24 hours they're ready to come out. And you will know because it will smell like it's fermented. It has like a sweet, tangy kind of smell. And you'll also see bubbles coming up. And sometimes you'll see new colonies floating at the top. Those are all good indications that it's fermenting well. So what I do is I just set this aside and out of direct sunlight, and I just wait. But after I get this done, I move on to the second step of this process, which is the second ferment, and that's where it gets fun.